I'd love to lean into the sleep aspect because it sounds like sleep is really probably one of the absolute pillars which predicate,
Yeah,
people's well-being in general, but certainly in terms of burnout or chronic fatigue or one's resilience, sleep is the cornerstone because if you get poor sleep,
yeah,
your immune system's going to be weaker, your emotional health's going to be weaker, you're less likely to move, your
yeah.
relationships, it all kind of stems from that. Almost seems like the foundation, sleep. Is that what you find in your, yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Oftentimes, if you can get someone sleeping better, it just changes their life. A lot of times I get people who have tried a lot of different things for their sleep. They've tried the CBT insomnia programs. They've tried the sleep hygiene. They've tried botanicals. They have tried sleeping pills. Um, Sometimes they do really well with cannabis-based medicines, a tiny amount. I prescribe cannabis as a medicine in medical form. So it's a THC oil, for example, sometimes we do give for sleep in these cases where they've tried lots of other things, and oftentimes it works extremely well because it sometimes lets them get deeper sleep. Um, Ideally, of course, we wouldn't take anything for our sleep. We would just naturally have this perfect rhythm. But in reality, there's lots of reasons why, especially if you have a chronic disease, which doesn't have a cure, we have to manage it instead, that people don't sleep perfectly. So supporting the sleep with every tool possible. So I use devices. So I use a device called the CES. It's a cranial electrostimulation device. Has two ear clips. You put it on, and it sends a different kind of pulse than the other vagal nerve stimulator device, and it puts your brain into a relaxed alpha brainwave state. And so I use that. I do use botanicals. I
Is that
use
before
obviously sleep
sleep?
hygiene.
Is CES before sleep, or is it like before
Yeah, so
bedtime?
not usually. So interestingly, you use it for the first 30 days. You're supposed to use it twice a day, 30 minutes at a time, twice a day, but not before sleep. Because if you use it right before sleep, inducing that alpha wave um, state can kind of disrupt the deeper sleep cycles. So you actually have to use it 3 hours away from sleep, generally
Wow.
speaking.
Wow.
Um,
That's fair. I've
so
never heard of that.
And
We've interviewed
yeah.
a few sleep experts and no one's ever mentioned you've got different tricks. You've got wow, cool.
Well, and we don't always start with that because these devices cost money, of course. They're not crazy expensive, but it's some money. So we start with simple things. But a lot of the patients I see are the difficult cases. I mean, they're if they responded well to sleep hygiene, they wouldn't be coming to see me.
yeah, of course.
So we have to get sometimes we have to get quite fancy, and we can usually improve things. Is the good news.
That's amazing. Yeah, because like there is a lot of information out there about sleep and people's sleep habits, and I need 9 hours and blackout blinds and a good rhythm that I get up at the same time every
Yeah,
day, and I get
yeah,
up and I see the morning sun and I move to get
yeah.
my adrenaline. I don't look at screens 2 hours before, and I don't eat food 3 hours before, and I don't drink alcohol, and I
Yeah.
I stop drinking coffee before 10
And I fill a
a.m.
worry journal and
And
then,
I do, but
Yeah.
I can get to sleep okay. But then I wake up twice during the night, and my brain keeps going. And like, what do you say to those people?
Those are the people that we do the cannabis, the devices. We do functional medicine testing usually, and we look at other causes, neurotransmitters and vitamin insufficiency, like all these kinds of things. Ruling out sleep apnea, that's another one that often gets missed. Because that's exactly right. A lot of the patients I see, they have done exactly that, and they're still having trouble sleeping. So for them, it's really frustrating because they keep going back to their GP, and their GP just well-meaningly says, have you tried some CBT? And they just want to tear their hair out when they hear that because they have tried. It hasn't been effective for them so far.
Is that CBT, like cognitive behavior therapy? Is that
Yes, which can be very helpful, but for some people it's not enough. And there's something called CBTI, which is CBT for insomnia. So that is often a
okay?
first step that is done for people in the medical system when they have um, insomnia, and it includes exactly the things that you just described. So the blackout blinds, the sleep environment, the shutting off screens, the worry journal, all of those things. So they're all still important, but sometimes it's not enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally get
And
you.
do you find in terms of sleep that there's a difference between men and women or whatever people are identifying in terms of their gender? Do you find there is a difference between people
Hormonal
due
cycles.
to yeah due to hormonal cycles in terms of people's sleep?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of times when women start to approach perimenopause, their sleep changes. And that's the first time that they will notice a problem. Sometimes they've always been what they would maybe say a light sleeper or not a great sleeper, but they've just been okay. And then when the hormones start to change, the hormone levels start to change in early perimenopause, then the sleep becomes more disrupted, and it's a big issue. So you have to include hormones when you think about sleep, definitely.